house means that he will have a particular interest in the environment, I think, green issues, humanitarian causes, and he's going to be an education as well, and he's going to be instrumental in changing the way society is run. He is in himself powerful, commanding, comfortable with leadership, but he comes from the heart. He has Venus in Cancer, and this is very protective, this energy. It's heart-based energy. It's sort of parental, almost motherly, I have to say. And he's probably pretty good at sensing, you know, sniffing out what people's motives are. He can read between the lines very well and pluck out the true intention behind the words. He's also got Mars in the 8th house. He's got a very strong instinct, almost wolf-like, for getting to root causes, breaking things down, maybe problems into smaller components in order to get to the bottom line, like a sniffer dog or a wolf, so as to root out corruption, decay, anything rotten in the state of Denmark. He instinctively, he can handle detail very well and analysis, you know, almost to the nth degree, because he just wants to know how things work. He has Mars in Virgo, so he can be a bit pedantic, you know, really pushing on a very, very small point. But this can work very well because he instinctively wants to synthesize things and then simplify things into a key insight, which gives him an intuition about how to transform and regenerate anything ailing in society. His 8th house Mars is very good at rooting out and destroying what is not serving him or those under his care anymore, and maybe being almost ruthless about that. But it's also brilliant at building up again and birthing into the new. So I guess it's a bit like a car mechanic. He can strip the engine right down to the basics, throwing out broken and worn parts as he goes along, and replace them with newly turned components. He's experimental to a degree in his approach as well. He doesn't mind trying out new things. He can at times, I suppose, be dramatically innovative as he tests at intervals his engine as he's going along the road, a bit like the fastest Indian. He's not afraid to be disapproved of or laughed at. I would say because he's Aquarius rising, he's definitely got an attitude, a style, which is inventive, creative, and unique. And I think his convictions are very heartfelt, but he doesn't come too much from his head. Even though he's very bright, he isn't, you know, sold on an idea just from a rational academic point of view. He needs to feel it in his body. And I kind of warm to that myself. I would trust a person who is instinctive like that and feels their way forwards, rather than comes at me with and imposes on me their ideas. So heartfelt convictions, but I think he also, even though he susses something, he will think it through. He can be detached, and he can be a stickler for detail, and he goes along step by step. He's very thorough, I think, particularly behind the scenes, and as I say, he could rub others up the wrong way because he wants to have his finger in all the pies and just know what's going on. He's certainly not just going to be a hollow figurehead person. He will be a good figurehead. He will be the star of the show. He can even be glamorous, but he will be very, very informed, and he will insist upon that. So he will be able to move with assurance, confidence, nobility, make a powerful impact, and be a great ambassador for the United States. And he doesn't mind being noticed, and he's used to being seen as different, so that's okay. And there's now a kind of relaxed freedom about him, which is, as we all know, beguiling and charming. But thank God that isn't all there is to him. So we know he's an inspirational speaker. His moon in Gemini enables him to find the words which touch the hearts of others because he speaks from his own heart. But he does this in an eloquent and feeling way, and those who listen and who actually hear are uplifted and motivated by his words. He has a great storehouse of knowledge and enjoys playing with ideas, a little bit like a cat playing with a mouse or a ball of wool. Sometimes he might be too flowery or elaborate or expansive in what he has to say, but it's almost as though there's a greater consciousness speaking through him, and he gets caught up in it momentarily. His moon in Gemini in the 4th house and his Venus in Cancer shows that he has a respect for the wisdom of the ancestors and loves to contemplate the words and deeds of the spiritual and wise down the ages. And I think he will accept his public role as figurehead and ambassador for his country, men and women, in the knowledge that is going to mean a lot of personal sacrifice and dedication. I think he already is, up for that, and he is, because he has the Sun in Leo in the 6th house of service, he already knows what it means to serve. Now his chart shows that he has this altruistic, philanthropic nature, and he's most definitely a champion for the underdog. He works hardest behind the scenes and within some kind of, even though he himself isn't hierarchical, he works well within some sort of political or social or educational setup. In Obama's chart, there is the danger. The chart shows that there is a danger that some sort of secret group or underworld element could plot to muddy his name or pull the rug out under his feet or something like that. Now, his Mars in the 8th house energy is gives him this deep sort of drive, this instinctual power. He runs off sort of an emotional conviction, but because he's got this ability to detach, he doesn't get overcome by it, and he has a sharp eye for detail, a sure hand related to financial institutions and property markets, and he can gauge in great detail the value of things and weigh out what the priorities would be. He's good at organisation, and he can get, he will try his very best to get the best tool or person or game plan for the job, particularly on his ability to analyse, but probably a little bit more on that instinct of his. So he's probably as well the sort of person who sees something of value in somebody else which others may have missed or just can't see, or just refused to see. And Obama has great faith in people and will give someone the chance to prove themselves. So he exudes this generosity of spirit and an optimism in his communications, which I guess at times can go over the top, and he may end up promising more than he can realistically deliver in the time frame or with the tools he has at hand, the resources he has at hand. He has a tendency to over-egg the pudding when he speaks, simply because he gets lost in the beauty of the imagery and words which seem to stream through him and pour out of his mouth. As I say, Aquarius has got this sort of little aerial that goes out the top of its head and picks up on these higher frequencies.